Hi guys, good morning. I hope you're all doing okay. So today we're going to start out with our online learning. I'm going to be talking over some of our slides, so make sure that your volume is up and you can hear me, and follow along with me as I go through our classroom slides with you. After I finish that, I'll give you a brief explanation of your assignment for today. However, that assignment is also written on Google Classroom, so you can find it there as well. So let's get to the slides first of all. So what we're doing today is we will be learning about the exploratory motive for imperialism. Remember that we have 5. They're economic, exploratory, ethnocentrist, political, and religious. We went over the brief explanation of those last week, and we've been going through them one by one. So we did an exploration on economic motivations last week, where we played the game where you tried to gather resources and build your own empire. And today we'll be going through exploratory. So economic, remember, was a motive to gain power through money and through resources. So going into new places, taking over them to gain control of their resources or the wealth that they have available through their people or their natural land. The exploratory motive for imperialism is sort of similar to the economic motive for imperialism. A lot of it was driven by the need to find new places to get money for. So they would go out looking for maybe places that had economic resources that they could take advantage of. But this motive for imperialism, the exploratory one, is mainly driven by the fact that nations, imperial nations, and their citizens wanted to explore territory that they didn't know before. So remember, a long time ago, people in Europe and in the Middle East and in Asia, they weren't very aware that there were lands where the Americas are, where Australia is. It wasn't something that they had contact with before because they hadn't been exploring the seas forever. They didn't have boats big enough a long time ago to go explore those places and find new places. So now we're getting to a point in history, what we're talking about now, where they had bigger boats. They had the ability to travel across the oceans and to find these new lands, and to find these lands that they hadn't seen before. Sometimes they wanted to find out things for medicines or scientific research. These are people like Charles Darwin and Magellan, who are famous explorers who went around and learned things for science. There are also people who wanted to find adventure. There are many famous Spanish explorers, who wanted to go into Central and South America to find gold and find famous cities. If you've ever heard of the myth of El Dorado, which is a city of gold, that was a famous myth that encouraged a lot of explorers to go into the wild lands of America, or the wilds of America, where other people from their nation had never been before, to try and find these new cities or these famous cities of gold. So they wanted to explore and have adventures. Also, they wanted to claim territory before their competition did. Like we learned last week, the Portuguese and the Spanish were sort of in a race with each other to gain control over different parts of the world. So this was a theme that carried on. The French would start soon competing, so would the British and the Dutch. They all wanted to claim territory before the other countries did, because they wanted the glory and the new wealth found to come to them and their people, not to everyone else. They also wanted to expand their empire and to gain new land. So you can't gain a new land unless you find and locate it first. So exploring to find those new lands helped to expand their empires. Some explorers just wanted to seek glory or fame by discovering new places. So one thing to keep in mind, although we call this time period where all these countries were going out and exploring, although we call this the age of exploration or the age of discovery, it doesn't mean that these lands didn't exist before. People had been living in the Americas, in Australia, in all the islands throughout the world for a very long time. Just because European explorers showed up at one point doesn't mean that they weren't thriving and vibrant civilizations before that. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. So although we say that people might say that Columbus discovered America, that's a very famous phrase. We have to remember that America existed and people lived there long before he showed up. So just keep that in mind, guys, as you go through and you read and you learn about this period of time. Okay, so that's a brief explanation about the exploratory motive for imperialism. So what you're going to do today, guys, is after you finish this and looking at our slides for today, you're going to go watch this video. I've attached it in our Google Classroom link. It's a fun little rap about the age of exploration. Once you finish listening to this rap, I think it's quite catchy and quite funny, sort of like the 5 Themes of Geography song, but it's actually really informative and they have some cool facts in there. So once you finish listening to this song, you're going to go and read this article. I've also linked it in Google Classroom. You can read all this stuff at the top if you'd like. The Portuguese and the Spanish Empire. We've already sort of gone over these things last week. But what I really want you to focus on is this part here, Britain, France, and the Netherlands, the exploration of the Southern Pacific Ocean, and the effects of the Age of Discovery. These 3 parts here are the main parts I'd like you to read today. So once you learn these 3 parts, you are then going to try, or once you've read these 3 parts, excuse me, you are going to try to create your own verse to add to this rap that you watched. So using the information that you learned from this part of the article, this part of the article, and this part of the article, you are going to try and create a short rap. So a rap verse, so this means just about 4 lines of text, 4 short sentences that rhyme with each other. Remember, we want to make them rhyme. Raps need to rhyme. So using the information you learned here, you're going to write 4 short lines of a rap to add here. And then this will be your assignment today. So what you're going to do is watch this video, read this part of the article, and then try to add your own verse for this video. You will type your rap into this Google document, which I have attached to our Google Classroom assignment, and turn it in when you finished. Okay? If you have any questions, please email me. Good luck, and I will talk to you again on Thursday. Bye, guys. Miss you.